grass for spring. That's a cool idea. I'm going to pick a piece of this fantasy space opera trilogy that features a meadow. This is a meadow that brings people together who want to accomplish something. I'll start with the meadow.
Who wrote that fantasy space opera trilogy?
I wrote this.
Wow!
It's the first Maharlika American science fiction fantasy trilogy. I suspected it all along. Mine was the first novel I could find in science fiction fantasy publishing, made by people like myself. And since then, an editor has won a Hugo, a short story has won a Hugo, an artist has won a Nebula, an artist has won a Hugo, and it's just like, here we are. We're here. 266. The mass of glassy rock tapped beneath their feet as the humans who'd volunteered for the buffer zone practiced the run they would use to move in groups during entry and exit. Center point leaders would guide group direction toward intended placements. Everyone ran bent over, arms splayed behind them to increase their aerial visibility. The position reduced the likelihood of becoming an unintended target by a friendly force. From above, you'd look like a bee doing a bee dance instead of just a body under a head, is how Maria Io put it to her group of buffer zone protesters. It was an unusual way to run, as if under low branches while holding weapons, but people figured it out. They did this training inside of incredible scenery, a pocket floating island within an uncrossable branch of rapids in the off-season Oregon aerial river. Uncrossable except by the schools of silvers, their leathery disc-like bodies making twirling extended leaps. The island they stood on was made of the kind of stone with a unique planetary magnetogravitational relationship. Floating veins of this stone created the conditions for the aerial river. The configuration of other giant gems nearby caused the rapids to whoosh around them like a pocket with an opening, keeping them unseen. The protest volunteers had come from many places through their contact with the Dani networks. There was an unreachable but not inhospitable Menawi plateau where they rested up in comfort and secrecy. They were both provided for and prepared. Each group took a throughporting to the aerial river island to do some run-through training, simple, not too taxing. With them went a few organizers who could answer questions, and an Aquari Aegis to prepare them. Soft Sand, wearing her Aegis pendant, rose from where she sat, watching the run practice. She went over to Miria, standing with a Herillionite observer and a Vidani wire-form presence. They look confident, said Soft Sand, and ready. They moved on to practicing the flattened group run, with increasing surrounding levels of intense Aquarian vibrational manipulation. At practice peak, the rapids seemed to change character entirely, sound whooshing as though raising one mighty voice, light waves glistening off the water in blinding rainbows. This, of course, would be almost nothing like what they were anticipating. Those moments would be situational, but it was a solid check to see if the buffer volunteers could withstand amounts of intentional distortion within a chaotic atmosphere of unstoppable forces. Some found their limits, while many others confirmed their willingness and capability. Wrapping things up for this session, Maria found the two in the group who were her actual cousins. She'd been able to identify and communicate with them over the local secret network in their locked down area. They'd involved other willing relatives, and the bunch made it through the cooperation and readiness checkpoints to serve as backup for their little guy Basil. He wasn't going to be in a Mecca, but this massive situation involved him, and they decided to be supportively present. "How are you feeling?" she asked them. Woo, said elder cousin Kribu. I'm going to want to process that later with a nap. When I wake up, it'll be in a normal world where things like this happen. There are things about this that I hope don't become normal, but I support you holding on to your remaining sanity with whatever coping mechanisms you can safely employ. You're my new coping mechanism. I'm just so thankful for your strength, my family. Our boy is amazing. He cares so much, and he's so good. Thank you for letting the child lead the way. It was time. We were ready to understand the things he wants to teach us. Blood harmony. Sweat symphony. This piece of paper was left behind in a tent in the Great Meadow, 269. It's been so long since the great cataclysm of our lifetimes took away our beautiful planet of Hylian. Some of us held the memory of that place so dear that it became our lives ever since. Now we're the bullet in a beast too big to comprehend, eyeing the vulnerability of a power so all-encompassing that most don't even perceive it. What we do may only be one small thing, but it was impossible until we carved our stairway step by step into the side of the mountain. This could take away only one weapon, break only one illusion. But here we, the remainder, may very well triumph over what nearly destroyed us all. Then we can make peace with our ghosts by giving our strength the life which yet waits to be lived, to the life which yet waits to be lived. We offer our breath so that others may breathe, as our loved ones did once, without the threat of this menace. We have forged the keys to unlock every door, discovered the fine print between the lines, examined the blueprints of it all, the documents, so many documents. The help we have, the allies, the brave hearts, it's beyond anything we could have imagined at first. And we are also just a piece of their picture, which makes this feel more real. This is really happening. I'm thankful, so thankful for these ordinary people who've left their homes because they know this is a cause for humanity. Thankful for these beings of other dimensions who aligned with us, relations who want to help because they want to do something right. I hope we do right by them and each other and everyone. It's better, easier, that Rav isn't here, even if this is his moment. We might actually pull this off. The cooperation that's brought us here, that supports us here, it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. I believe. And after everything happened, back to the meadow. 291. The wide, elevated meadow, full of people, was in a somewhat festive mood. They'd just done something harrowing and hard, but they had done it. They believed in themselves, that much at least. Captain Wendell Harper's runners from the field had been tying up the passenger organization so people could get aboard and they could go. The fuel's money was there, she believed them. This was actually a nice place for a breather. There was a mist of flowers over the ground. Flowers. It was just her again on the road, plus this next bunch. Wendell had been called in to redistribute people located in an inaccessible meadow. The Donnie Throughports had already sent some of them home. If this worked out, Wendell might be hiring more shuttle power to help, and this could go faster. Sending everybody somewhere specific wasn't as easy as doing it the way they've done it before. Conundrums like this are situationally unique, as tend to be their solutions. Only so much could safely be done at a time, given the energy resources. They'd ported out a fleet of soldiers all at once, but that had been improvised on the spot with the emergency inspiration of a unique set of embodied forces. The Dani formulae had to respect some laws of nature, so things progressed steadily apace. People were doing well enough, hanging in there, prepared and lighter-hearted, even celebratory. There were no Vidani in this meadow, just humans. They did all know Vidani and confirmed that the ride was called for them. There were still a lot of people left here, but not too many. That's what the encoded request for service had said when it came to her through DriftX. The message popped up through an obscure node of the system that she barely remembered was active. It was written in knowledgeable cargo passenger format, but came over a Vidani signal. He had her number all right. So did a lot of people, and Wendell usually didn't mind too much. So she took the weird job, going somewhere weird to take some people home. Long way to come for just another 40 people out of a lot, but they're the next most important 40 people, all going to their own homes. It'd be some work. She'd just taken people to safety. Now she was taking them home. There was lots of hugging and exchanging of information. The sun was shining. Moments like these, she loves her job. Wendell has high job satisfaction, though. This is when it's simple. This is when it's easy to be proud of herself. And going from the meadow to the other people who were mentioned, who are at the same time feeling the growing of everything going on. 292. The susurrus amid the bodies of the gathered Orani was constant and constantly evolving. Vibrational levels rippled in reliefs and depressions between holders of differing frequencies. The people were arrayed around an open center, which was radiating a light they could perceive with the vibrational pits beneath their capital ridges. Connected to this light were sparkles from among them, centering around gems on the ground which gleamed actively. The flat open floor of one of the mightiest geode caverns served as the place. The towering, stony-hided people were wearing some of their finest, most heavily tempered, jeweled ornamentation. It was positioned with functions of amplitude. They were deep in perception of invisible levels familiar especially to them, but common to so many. There were so many beings out there, they knew, that could feel many, some, all, any of the feelings they knew in themselves. Living beings feel things with each other, for each other, about each other, because of each other. Orani live with feeling. Feelings are beauty. Feelings are nature. Feelings exist in reality, everywhere, amongst everything. They know because they feel it. Some feelings distant from each other in every other way are so like each other as to be a part of each other, connected and moving in relation with an almost certainty. Already know, they know, they know. There is sometimes a way to bring feelings to know each other, to recognize and perhaps to be at peace with each other, to understand each other, to move around each other, to consciously coexist only as they each would, each feeling in its true best interest, because only then can we survive the rebalancing. A way to know the feelings is to feel them so deeply, broadly, depthfully, and in the highest manner. To find the truth of it that transcends, while only knowing what one can, but with knowing all that one does. Then the understanding, and the greater understanding. The vibrations and reverberations are real, and the people have their tools. The diagram of powerful stones in the center was collective, multi-layered, and complex. They had brought their greatest skills to bear on this, and had been working on it for some time, giving it their best resources from far and wide. These stones are legendary, and the depth of this moment and their collective legend was happening around them, with them. An orrery would occasionally replace an orrery in the configuration, and a stone would replace a stone. The light was living, and so was the sound and the air. Their resonating chambers reflected the universe. Miss Ball felt some familiar feelings, along with many new and unfamiliar. There was a feeling, familiar to a feeling, familiar to a feeling. It might have a name, and something else about it was familiar, but strange. This too was part of a larger whole. Miss Ball's perspective of the feeling, through their own, gave it a place amongst feelings, a balance. In its balance, which it always possessed, other things also had their balance. So, things moved together as they did, and they felt it, and they knew. Things would become, from inside of this knowledge, while also being greater than the known. The knowledge of the feeling grows along with the moment, and so does the being and the world grow too. Together they would grow. They would grow with all of this, and they would grow it. And just a little bit, I'm going to ring the bell at the end, this part where everything's coming together, and all of a sudden, every dragon is singing about everything that happened this whole time, and it's everything all at once for everyone. And I'm going to read it backward in the shape poem. The shape poem can be read in any direction. A revelation of dragons can be read with 3 voices, with 1 voice, line by line, according to shape, in any order. And this time I'm just going to read it backward, and I'm going to rattle it off. The change in the sky like the change in the world, the turning of the spheres, the turning of our beings, transference fulfilled, change throughout, nurturing observation, extraordinary phenomena, observation processing, presence propinquitous, ascendance of the phenomena transcribed through observation, feel it through ourselves, needed change, interactive transference, phenomena interacting, spheres overlapping, rotating spheres, invited presence, the presence imminent of the occurrence bound into our transference. If we are here and we can see, then we are here to see. Notice oneself, happens constantly, live, celebrate, perceive, receive. Celebrate invention, welcome news, celebrate and meditate. This here, now, is how it happens. Necessity happens, point notice. Receive information, see matters, outward see, genuine welcome. We welcome the now, we notice the direction we are, and we receive. We are the waves and we are the stone, the expression of the everything, in cosmic dance here unfurling, clarified substance, expression blossoming, effulgence emanating, totally natural, emanating vibration, spell working, and there is a new ripple in the water, moving amongst our beings. A stone dropped into the lake. The waves moved toward the stone, pulsing stone emanating, expanding expression, puzzle clarified. Natural mystic, cosmic horizon. Feeling cosmic, intricate spell, the spell is broken, the banishment. Our voices are clarified and move through the planes again, in the way that is natural. Light from without, light from within, translucence, vibrance, radiance, intertwining, braided, enmeshed, brilliance employed, concurrence, branching, seamless tessellation, rippling reflections, tessellation resolving, understanding solidarity, brilliance of our reflections, scales to scales, arpeggio juxtaposition, tessellation, correlation, concurrence, fortuitous concurrence, blinding brilliance, reflections, speaking, intertwining the flowers, courses, intertwining, growing, understanding, levels of understanding, understanding each other, magnitudes of expression, the relationships between things and things themselves, multitudes hail, multiplicity evident, living multitudes, delicate multiplicity, coexistence intrinsic, dimensions unfold, we meet in our multiplicity, multitudes of coexistence of sovereign selves, forging coexistence, traversing dimensions, sovereign domain, time interlocked, persons sovereign, spanning time, Time is part of the dimensions in which we move, and it has its significance, worthy of our notice. Here, and this happens here with us, at this very moment. Elements unbound, relation keeping, universe unforeseen, propitious meeting. Unforeseen blessing, fused focus, unexpected, unforeseen, and we are all out together in relation again. Rediscovering relation, embodying elements, meeting everything, moment grasped. This moment, destinies fused, everything fused together, the elements all in place, an unprecedented meeting. I do a spring awakening, so I'll have a table at the spring awakening coming up next weekend.
Shout out to Spring Awakening. And you can check those books out from our local library, is that true?